My brother, how are you?
I'm okay, man. No complaints.
Um,
African time. We have African time.
I know. Ish, yeah, no. Let's not talk about it. It's okay. It's okay.
The apologies to the guys. Yeah, I know everyone we said
Mhm.
7 o'clock, but yeah, when you're trying to connect overseas, it's not easy. But yeah,
Sorry, guys. Like, yeah, but we here, so let's forget about that.
we have Miss Kgatlana all the way from Portugal, Benfica, Ladies Football Club. How are things in Portugal?
Things are good. I think I went out like a couple of hours ago when I see like the street is busy, people are out, cars are moving. So it's positive that we're slowly going back to the way things were before the virus.
So is it kind of like halfway there, or is it everything is done fully now?
We haven't been on lockdown, and we've just been like on the State of Nation address where everyone is careful and staying at home and making sure that we adhere to the rules and regulations set out by the
Mm.
authorities. But they haven't cancelled the league, the football here. So I'm saying it's more positives than before.
Okay, and for you, how has it been like sitting at home, training at home, not being out there on the field of play?
Yeah, it's been tough, but I think I got to sit down and readjust myself, the things I do, set new goals, uh, look at life in a different perspective. Although I still don't go to the field, I found time to train. I found time to be active. And like I said, we're not on lockdown, so we have more freedom to go out to the parks, get a run and chill, clear your head.
Uh,
So yeah, it's been good for me.
has it been like a time where you did like a lot of self-reflection, or like Thembi now, what Thembi needs to do going forward into the future?
I think that's one thing I actually haven't like put myself under pressure to focus on. I know that I've been putting more of my time in training and more of my time in doing the things that I usually don't do, like reading books, like drawing, just to, find, to have some peace, man.
True.
Cause, yeah, because everyone in this pandemic is just going crazy. The virus, we can't be at home, blah blah blah. But I think for me, I've accepted that the virus is there and it has changed a lot of our lives.
Mm.
It's how we look at it and how we also try to change our routines based on what we were doing before.
So, were you not scared when this pandemic made an outbreak? Were you not scared? Like you're away from home, you're in Europe, and it's not possible for you to go back home. Were you not scared?
To be honest, I wasn't scared. I looked at this pandemic like any other pandemics that happened before, your swine flus, um, your Ebola, and all those kind of things. If I had to say there was one time I was scared of a pandemic was the one in 2016, the Zika virus that
Mm.
happened when we were about to go to the Olympics. I think that one was the most scariest ever in my life. And I think with the pandemic that we have now, it's better because I know the club will take care of me, and even if I'm away from home, I know that I'll still be safe. Yes, I'm more worried, I think, about the people at home because as South Africans. But then for me, I'm pretty much safe. I get messages all the time, people wanting to check up on me, but I'm good and everything is good.
Yeah. Okay. That one is done. The pandemic and everything is done. And it's so stressful when we talk about this pandemic, even though it's something that's real, but it's so stressful, and it's worse for us here in South Africa because we're on lockdown. You're sitting at home. You
Mm-hmm.
can't go out. You must have a permit and stuff. And most of us are used to being out there, but now you have to be at home the whole day and stuff like that. It, in a way, it challenges you and it affects you mentally. But yeah, we're done with that.
Mm-hmm.
Now let's go to Thembi, the girl from Fontaine.
Mm-hmm.
If someone were to say, um, Thembi, tell us about yourself in 3 words, what would you say?
Wow. I'm resilient. Um, I'm a hard worker, and I don't know what's the third one, but I think the two things that really describe me is the word resilient and hardworking.
And fast.
I don't know. Maybe you can have, maybe you have the third one for me.
And fast.
Okay, and fast.
And
True.
fast. How was it like for you growing up in Randfontein, like family-wise and stuff like that?
Like any other child, I grew up in a family of both my parents are together
Mm.
and my two brothers. We used to fight like cat and dogs, and we still do now because they always complain that when I'm home I get a lot of attention and privileges. But I mean, these guys are with my parents the whole year,
Mm.
so I I think I deserve a little bit of attention when I'm home. Uh, but like any other child growing up, Ekasi, I was a little bit naughty. I think I lost it in the way. I don't know how, but yeah, I was a little bit naughty. I mean, we are kids. We are growing up. You want to be in circles. You want to belong. There are things that you are going to do
Yeah.
um, as a child to make sure that people accept you in the circles that they do. Yeah, and I'm the last born at home.
That's why. That's why. Would
That's
would you
why
say
what?
that's why you say you were naughty? Would you say the naughtiness came when you started playing football with the guys, Kokasi, or is it just the fact that you're the last one at home and you can get away with anything?
That's the thing at home. I don't get away with anything, right? Always been like this child who they like I feel like I have too much responsibilities compared to my brothers. Like because I'm a girl, they always do the dishes, do that, do that, do that,
Mm.
Um so it was quite difficult for me to kind of do the things that I'm supposed to be doing at home and wanting to be a child. Because
Yeah.
sometimes you want to go play and then you can't because you must go over there, you must do the dishes, you must do a lot of things. So like me, and I grew up, my parents were really strict and they're still strict. Let me
Yeah.
not, say they're not. My parents are still strict, and growing up with my brothers, it was really, really difficult, to be honest. And I think the naughtiness also didn't come with the fact that I played with boys. I just think it just came there like any other child. If you
Mm.
had to pick any other child in Leni, 4, 5, 10 years, they are naughty in a different way. Naughty
Mm.
can mean stealing sugar or instead of washing the dishes, running away. Those are the kind of things that I did.
Mm.
I'd rather face the consequences later, uh, when I come back than like I always want there was something that always made me to be on living on the edge. Let me say, when you're a kid, you always like to live on the edge. Like you always like the risky things. You know that if you don't wash the dishes, they're gonna beat you, but you still don't wash the dishes.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, we have a question from Miss Lindy with Tube. Hello, Lindy.
Yeah. Hey,
Um,
Lindy.
she's saying, growing up in Motlakeng, did you think your dreams were attainable?
To be honest, I've always looked up to Uposhamudis, and when I was, I think, 8 years old, I played in the same team as her, Pama Ladies. It was a team from Motlakeng. And as a child at that age, you don't think of becoming a superstar or a soccer star or becoming a doctor. Or
mm,
sometimes you do think, yes, I can become a soccer star, but you don't know what it will take for you to get there. So I think, to be honest, I never thought that I would be a professional soccer player because my mom always wanted me to play soccer and she wanted me to do athletics because she was an athlete. So I thought maybe for the longest time, because when I was growing up, I think from between 8 and 12 years, I was an athlete. I was even registered with ADT, a running team. I
mm.
could do long distance and I could do short distance, so I thought maybe I could be an athlete, but then I think things started unfolding different when I fell in love with the game.
Yeah. At what stage in your football career did you see that, okay, now I think it's possible for me to play professional football?
Still, even when I went, I think, to the junior teams, I've always thought, okay, the junior teams has Banyana, and then like professional football has only, you can only play in your country, And
Mm,
I think as time goes by, I got to understand that there's actually professional teams outside of South Africa that women make a living out of. They get paid and they do certain things. So I think maybe at the stage I got my first call up for U17, because then I was able to travel to Nigeria, I was able to travel to Botswana, I was able to to go to other places, and the fact that we had to play all these countries in order to get a ticket to go to the World Cup. I think that's where I saw that actually it is possible to play for a national team and to
mm.
make it to a World Cup, and even better to get signed by a professional team outside of South Africa.
Yeah, that's true. Lindy says, how do you bounce back after an average or bad game?
Phew, it's a tough one. I think like I'm a very spiritual person, right? If I have a
Mm,
good game, if I have a bad day, I mean a bad game or an average game, for me, I always question myself like, did you do your job? Were you supposed, whether I score or not, right? The
mm,
first question that comes to me is, were you able to do your job? Yes or no? And if no, what went wrong and how can you improve in your next game? So instead of dwelling on the fact that I didn't do so good, I criticize myself to make sure that next time I go into a game or I go into training, I work on the things that I was not able to do at my previous game. So that really helps me to, move forward as a player, and to understand that football, sometimes you don't have to score to
mm.
win, or you don't have to make assists or do any other crazy things to be, considered as a winner.
Yeah,
Sometimes it's the little things that you set for yourself, like I want to make 10 passes with my left in a game, or certain, those are, I think, the things that I look at the most, so that next time I go into a game, I know that this is what I'm supposed to work on, or what I want to work on.
yeah, okay. In your football career, what has been your worst game? Like a game like, you know what? Yeah, that one.
Phew, that's a tough one, right? Like I said, even if I have a bad game, I don't put too much pressure on myself and saying, I had a bad game. I focus rather on the things I couldn't do so that I can go to the. Uh, but I think,
There has to be
phew,
one. There has to be one. There
I'm
has to
trying
be
to
one.
think. That's why, like, I'm trying to think. Uh, Maybe you have to ask that question later. Like, I'm trying to think now. Because if I have to start from now and going back, it will
It's
take
okay.
about, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
King Party says, what have you learned playing in Europe as compared to playing for Banyana?
There's a huge difference, right? In Banyana, what I realized is, because we don't have a professional league, right?
Mm,
Most of the players are picked or are looked at because of individual skill and the fact that they are fit. In Europe, everyone is fit. So at the end of the day, there is competition, and to be honest, the competition, to be specific, I'm going to talk about Benfica. The competition in Benfica is not Dumisani comes from South Africa or Thembi comes from South Africa and they want to be a superstar in Benfica. The competition is uh, taking the team to the next level, right?
Yeah.
I think that's one thing that in teams you do not find. In teams, it's always who's the best in the team and why are
Mm.
they the best. But I think in Benfica, the coaches and the technical team have set a standard where we do not compete against each other, but we
Yeah.
compete against other teams in order to get results, in order to move forward as a team. And I think the tactics that we learn here, that football is a mind game. Even if you have speed, sometimes you don't have to run because people know you're going to run. Just make the simplest things that you can do. Run, take people out of their zone so that other people can score. It's
Mm.
about your mentality and how much you know of those tactics and the technique. Of course, we focus a lot on that compared to in South Africa, because like I said, in South Africa it's more of individual brilliance. If you don't work on your technique, no one else is going to make you work on your technique. If
Mm.
you don't watch football and understand football tactics, no one is going to make you understand that. So
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that's the difference.
Okay. Okay. There's Mzamo Mzamo Moloi says, can you take us through that goal against Spain?
The goal against Spain, like I think I'll watch that. That goal will always be like not my highest achievement, to be honest.
What
But
do
it
you
will
mean?
always be
What do you mean? Not your
uh,
highest achievement?
no, 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 no. I have a highest achievement, but the goal is not my highest achievement, to be honest. Yes, it will be
Okay.
there. It will be in the books of history and everything. And if I had to take us back to that goal, I still think it was crazy. And one thing I learned from the goalkeeper coach who was in camp with us was that goalkeepers are trained. They are like robots, right? Before
Okay.
they could do a certain move, they need to set. Before they could dive, they need to set. That's why I think the goalkeeper coach in the camp, called me, sat me down, and told me that, and then showed me actually the clips of our goalkeepers in Banyana to say, this is what we do, right? When we do goalkeeper training, we set all the time. No one can dive or make a spectacular save without having the first position, which is to set. And I
Okay.
always knew that having to set takes about 2 seconds. And that is the 2 seconds that made a difference in my entire career to take that shot, because I knew that the goalkeeper was not ready. And if you could watch that goal again, you could see she had the tips to the ball, but she pushed it into goal. Why? Because she was not ready. If the goalkeeper was ready, if she was set, she could have made a save, but it was impossible for her to make such reflexes because she was not ready. And
Mm.
I always knew that I get in good positions, but the technical team, kept on reminding me all the time in training that most of the defenders are slow, right? So if you get in a chance to shoot, take a shot, and whether it's shot on target or shot off target, what matters is you took a shot, and sometimes you take a shot and it goes straight to goal, and I think that's what happened with the goal against Spain.
Yeah. Yeah. Now there's this part of now. I want us to talk about the transition from playing in Randfontein. You go to the high performance center, and then you get integrated into the system at Tuks. How was it like
Mhm.
for you, the transition, the school, playing football on a daily basis? You go to training, the facilities. How was it like for you then? And any
It was
challenges
quite
you?
difficult. It was quite difficult to be honest, because like I said, growing up in Mohlakeng, even though I had responsibilities as the girl in the family and I wanted to play soccer, most of the things were like chilled for me. Like any other student that goes to school, you have homework, you must do your homework for you to pass and stuff like that. But one thing I think I did in Mohlakeng was I was playful, and I never had a vision. of this is where I want to be. But then the setup in the high performance center, I mean, changed my perspective in within 3 months into the academy. Because why? Even though you play sports, even though you play sports, the program is meant for you to get out of school, to matriculate out of the high performance center, and it grooms you to be a professional athlete already. We trained twice a day, sometimes not all the time. We played against boys, and then you would be called up into the U17 or U20 camps, and most of my seniors would be then called to Banyana. So it was something that was, I think, preparing me up for the life that I'm currently living right now, because it's quite difficult also to be, coming from a place where there's no motivation, or where sports is not so well groomed. In Motlakeng, I would get home, train if I want to train. I'll do that. But in the high performance center, I didn't have choice. Whether I want or I don't want, I had to go to training. We were monitored. We did a lot of things. There was a schedule for almost everything. We trained every morning at 5 a.m. and then we had school at 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. and then we had training immediately there at 4 p.m. So everything was like scheduled, and then you had to study in the afternoon, do your homeworks. We had a tutor, because I think of the level of work that we are preparing for. We had to get a tutor, because it would really help us to focus and on the things that we cannot understand. Because most of the time, you go for U17 camp, you miss like school for 2 weeks, you don't know what's going on. So the tutor would be there to help you carry up the speed of where the other learners are.
Yeah. I don't know if my memory serves me well. I think we had a conversation way back where you said at high performance center they almost sent you home because you could not master the technique of heading. Was it heading or something?
True, true. It's
And
true.
so it means that they were so specific in details of
Mm-hmm.
a footballer. Like if they were to chase you away because that you can't hit the ball, that was something else. Wow.
Yeah, true. I mean, like I said, it is actually, it is a base to make sure that we have the best players in the country to serve the national team. And imagine back then, no one knew who Thembi was, and then I get a chance to use my head to score, and I don't. So those are the things that the coaches were preparing us. They were actually, I think, mainly focusing on our weaknesses more than our strengths, because
Yeah.
I think that's the thing with any sports. We should focus on your weaknesses so that you can become better in them, right? Because if we focus too much on your strengths, and then when you are exposed on your weaknesses, people think, this player is not supposed to be here, or maybe the coach liked this player, that's why they're here, and so forth. But if you work on your weaknesses anywhere in life, it's difficult for people to come and attack you on those, because then they become your strengths as well. And then you can round up yourself to be an entire player, or you round up yourself uh, to be a whole professional athlete.
Mm-hmm. And you at Turks, you get called up to play for the national team. You've never played for the national team before. You get the opportunity to play for the nation. You wear the jersey. You go out there. You sing the national anthem. Is that something that in a way that said, you know what, you you almost there now?
True. I think wearing the national jersey always, even today, it always motivates me before a match, you
Hmm.
know, because I look at myself, and in every match, even if I played for Houston or for China or for Benfica, every time I wear a jersey, I reflect on a lot of things, but mainly I reflect on the fact that there are what, almost, I think, 700,000 people, I mean girls in South Africa, who are active women soccer players, and only what 23 can be called up to Banyana or to U17. So I think when I wear the jersey and I step on the field, I represent all the girls that want to be there, but they cannot be there because of them coming in places where there's no scouters or not having the opportunity to get a trial in Banyana or any junior teams, or the opportunity that I got to go to the high performance center.
Mm.
So those are the people that I actually play for, so that they can also be motivated and see that it's possible to wear that national jersey. You know,
Yeah.
if they look at Thembi, who comes from Motlakeng and went on to go to the high performance center to play for the junior teams and to play for the senior team. I mean, who could be stopped from also getting the same treatment or also getting the same things that Timby got, or even better?
Yeah. Yeah. And now you make the change or the switch. You move from Tugs, you go all the way to Cape Town. You know,
Yeah.
no, you go and study at UWC. Yeah, and also UWC is well known um for women's football. Guys like
Mhm,
Jermaine come from there, Leandra. There's a lot that come from there.
mhm.
How is it like for you now? You in Cape Town, you also studying now, and you at university level. You're no longer at high school level. You have to juggle your schoolwork and football.
It was difficult, but then, like I said, when you asked me about the three things that describe me, I'm a very resilient person.
Mm,
If I set or tell myself to do something, I have to work hard, and not to prove to other people, but to prove to myself personally that, okay, I took a challenge and I worked hard to achieve that challenge. Now I need another challenge. You
mm,
know, a lot of people were scared that I was what 15 when I went to the high performance center to stay alone. A lot of parents wouldn't let their kids be in that situation, but my parents could see how much I loved football, and they were also happy because why? It was not only football. I also got an opportunity to go to school. So I
mm.
think they were more open to support me more than anything. And the fact that I got the support from my parents made things easier for me then, because I could move anywhere in the world. I moved from home. I went to the high performance center in within Gauteng, and then I tested myself that let me go a little bit further away from my parents to see if I can cope, to
Yeah,
see if actually I can become an athlete and I can become a student at the same time. I went to
yeah.
Cape Town. I stayed there a couple of years in Cape Town, and then so forth, going to Houston, going to China, and now in Benfica.
Yeah, and I'm sure you had challenges when you were in Cape Town. What challenges did you face?
I think the challenges that I faced were more individual than the things that are surrounding me. Like I said, once I realized that I can be a professional player, and once I sat down and, starting watching women's football, I realized how these athletes are top athletes because of the lifestyle that they live. So I put myself under pressure to make sure that I try to maintain the same routine that I had at the high performance center, which was training from Monday to Friday and maybe having a game on Saturday and so forth. But it was difficult because in university now, most of that workload is cut out because people have to study, people have to do assignments, they have to do what. So we trained twice in a week with the girls' team, but I trained still 5 times in a week, because
Mm.
and then I asked the head coaches of the boys if I could join the sessions. I wanted to make sure that I continue, the fitness level that I have, because I knew that the reason why most of these girls that play pro are the best is because they are fit, right? If you are fit, you can do anything that you want to do. And even though I had asked to train with the guys, it was difficult, and I like the fact that I took myself from the girls and put myself in the guys, up for the challenge. And at the start, it was quite difficult because of the tempo, because of the physicality, and a lot of things. But then I found things that worked for me, which is, maybe playing quicker. running against the guys. That would make me quicker if I played with girls. Learning a skill or two, that would be an advantage for me if, I
Mm.
mean, when I play with girls.
Yeah, and talking about playing with guys at UWC, I remember this other day, I was going past and I saw you and your other friend playing in the Bundes, and Bundes is not for anyone. And I was like, why should, and I think it was a week before a call up or something, I'm not sure, and you were playing Bundes, and Bundes is not for anyone else. They kick you there. So basically it showed me another side to you, that when you say you're a hard worker, you're resilient, you push yourself to the limit, then that's why you where you are today, because of hard working and pushing yourself so hard.
Yeah, like Bundesliga is not for everyone, right?
Mm.
And I think I was ready to put myself in that level to play in the Bundesliga in UWC. You know why? Because sometimes you play rough teams like the Nigerias. They would kick you everywhere in the field. And
Mm.
if you are faced with that situation, are you going to cry? Are you going to go out? Are you going to say, no, I can't play for the national team? You need to adapt to certain styles of certain teams. And
Yeah.
I knew that if I could put myself and play in Bundesliga and UWC, and I was doing completely fine, then I knew that that's one step for me, playing against the rough teams, playing against the people that just want to kick you and tackle you. And to be honest, West African teams, your Nigerians, your Ghana, your Senegal, they want to kick you because why? They know that South Africans are good enough to hold the ball, to move the ball. So they intimidate you by kicking you. They intimidate you by pulling you, by being rough. So if you prepare yourself to go to war, you, like I said, you need to work on your weaknesses so that people who think you are still weak at that point cannot, have the right to exploit you, and they feel like, what is different with this person? Before I could quick her and she would go out, but she still, is resilient. She wants to play, and now it becomes a bit uncomfortable for them because then they don't know what to do because they tried to take you out of your comfort zone, but you still, didn't let them take you out, and you push through and push through and push through.
Yeah. And the other thing is, what you did when you were there at UWC, you always had extra sessions on your own, where you'd ask Seda to come and join you, you do your drills. And I remember also at the time I joined in, and Leandra Smith joined in, and seeing um a lady playing football and pushing herself like that, even though there's no professional setup for ladies football in the country. It's not a surprise that you're playing at Benfica, or you've played in China, or you've played in the US with some of the best players, because you pushed yourself. You had a goal, you had a dream, and the only way to achieve that dream was to push yourself, and you did that with no one pushing you.
Yeah, it's quite difficult. Like I say, if you don't have a goal, there's nothing that you are working towards. You'll always wait for people to push you. Hey, Tembi, let's go to training. Or are you feeling good or no? But if you have a dream and you want to see that dream happen, trust me, no one will help you to reach that dream. Yes, you'll have a few people pulling you and saying, okay, if you want to train, I can help you to train. But you won't have someone personally coming to your house and say, let's go train. The
Mm.
will has to come from you. The determination has to come from you. And I think the most of the thing that actually make me be the person that I am is the discipline, right? If you are disciplined, if you say to someone, hey, please help me with training, and you are disciplined to show and train, and when they train you, you just want to train instead of saying, no, I can't do this, or no, I can't do that, I want to do that. And like I said, I'll be grateful to Sanele because he helped me with my weakest points, right? And he pushed me when no one was there for me. Like I said, it was just me and my dream. And the fact that Sanele could make a schedule to train me out of his own time, I think it's something that actually gave me a motivation to say, actually, there is someone who wants to see you become a better player. There is someone who believes in your dream. So the least you could do is to be disciplined and do what you're supposed to do, which is to train and train and train. And he was not easy on me. Whether I trained with the guys or whether I trained alone, he would always make the most difficult sessions for me,
Mm,
because those sessions then, if you are tired, what do you do? Do you let your mind work for you, or do you let your emotions work for you? And those are the things that I say they are becoming part of any sport now. If you can't, let's say you are finished in 80 minutes, you can't run anymore, but you have the right mind to get into right spaces, there is a tick for you, to say, I can still last the extra 10 minutes. Why? Because I have tactics, I'm mentally strong to do these things. But I think people don't understand that. People always think you need to be fit in order to be an athlete. Sometimes it's not about that. Sometimes it's about you being smart and
yeah,
choosing and doing smart choices at the end.
yeah, yeah. There's a question from Gabin Thembi. I'd like to ask you, where should I put my attention and focus as I want to be a professional footballer like you one day?
To be honest, it depends. It depends where you want to put your focus, right? You have a lot of people around you, a lot of opinions. Everyone will have an opinion, but at the end of the day, it's your opinion that matters. If you really want to be a professional football, every single thing you do needs to lead you to being a professional football. You can't say you want to be a professional football, you have a match tomorrow and you decide to sleep at 3 a.m. That's not going to help you. Or you decide to have Gatsby or McDonald's during the week. If you want to be, a professional football, look at people who are doing it. Look at Ronaldo. You don't see Ronaldo partying. You don't see Ronaldo in scandals. You don't, because why? He's dedicated to putting that image. And I think that's one thing a lot of people don't understand about athletes. They think you need to go out, you need to party, you need to buy the most expensive. Those things will come later in life when you have achieved what you want to achieve.
Mm,
And I always make an example with Ronaldo because he has won so many trophies, but he still didn't say I'm the best player and I'm okay. I'm gonna give people chance. He made people step up and see who is better to be able to live the same lifestyle that he lives.
mm.
And yeah, Messi's talented and is getting there, but a lot of players cannot live the lifestyle that Ronaldo is living. So if you want to be a professional athlete, every single thing that you do needs to lead you to being a professional.
But then when you talk about the Gatsby, you tout the Gatsby a lot. So
Yeah, but when did I chow the Gatsby? I can't chow the Gatsby during training. I need to be punished first so that when I eat that Gatsby, I must know that I'm gonna run 10 laps because suddenly can see with the eye. I ate something that I was not supposed to eat and I can't run anymore. Those are the things that you need to watch. And I'm not saying I don't eat Gatsby or McDonald's. I choose the right time to eat it, but people still, nutrition has become part of sports.
mm,
And that's something that people don't understand. People think if you diet, if you do that. No, nutrition has become part of sports, and it also includes what you eat, how you eat, and how is your body responding to those things. Like me in LA, Portugal, I'm on lockdown, and my nutritionist has told me to eat 6 times a day. If you tell someone to eat 6 times a day, they go crazy because why? They're thinking of a lot of foods. No, it's a breakdown of things. You have breakfast, you have a snack, and then you have your big meals. So you have your three big meals, which is your breakfast, your lunch, and your dinner, and you have your small snacks in between to make sure that you keep your body energized and well nutrition. But when you tell people that you eat 6 times a day, oh, she can't run, she's fat, blah blah blah, without understanding the things that your body needs. Because the more you train or the harder you train, your body needs nutrients and your body needs supplements, or your body needs iron, starch, whatever that your body needs, you need to feed your body.
yeah, okay. There's Mabale. Timby, when I watch you play, I see a resemblance of Messi. Have what? Have always had the ability to carry your team, or it's just a compliment from Team Mabale. And then there's Fitch 8. According to you, who is the best between Messi and Ronaldo? Oh, Jesus, conversation.
According to me, they are both the best because they are different players.
Mm-hmm.
If I had to say, Ronaldo is the best because he's the hard worker. Messi is the best because he's naturally talented. Like we never hear of Messi doing what Ronaldo is doing. Why? Because football to him is a natural talent, but
Yeah.
Ronaldo has to work 3 sessions or 2 sessions extra to be who he is. So there's no best between Messi and Ronaldo. They are both best because they have different abilities.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, there's a coach I want us to talk about, Coach Vera Pau, when she coached you in the national team. Let's wait for you. We
Mhm.
are gonna go into Houston Dash and stuff. Vera Pau at Banyana level. What impact did she have in your football career?
Verapal had a huge impact in my career. But
Mm,
before I can give her all the glory and acknowledgements, I think uh, there's a coach, a female coach also at the High Performance Center who had a huge impact in my football career, and it's Coach Cheryl Bottas.
yeah.
As a player, here's the thing that I always find, when people always love you when you're at your best,
Mm,
when you didn't know how to trap or when you didn't know how to score or shoot, no one could, bet their money on you. But I
yeah.
think Cheryl Botte is one coach that groomed me to do the basics of football. Your trapping, your passing, your scoring, your techniques, all those things. She's the one that installed it in me. And then Verapol came to add a different level of football that we look at, which is the European football, for you
Mm,
to be smarter, your tactics, the formations that allowing you to think outside of the box, not just thinking football is about trap and pass or always having the ball or those kind of things. So I think meeting Vera in my career was very special because if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be where I am today. She gave me an opportunity to come to Banyana. She believed in me and she could see potential in me and she pushed me every single time in training, Even though I think at that time I was the youngest, I was only 18 when I went to Banyana. Everyone else was done with their school. Everyone else, had their free time. And I still remember my first call up for Banyana was in 2014
yeah.
in August. And that year I only went to matric 6 months. And the other 6 months I was on camp with Banyana. But then the fact that Vera was pushing me, I was able to pass my matric with two distinctions and an average of 86. For someone who's not at school, that is brilliant, And like I'm saying, I'm giving all the credit to Vera Pau because why? She was so strict in me, not only as a coach but as a mother, because she knew that she took me out of school and she wanted me, or she knew that I wanted, to make my parents proud and pass my matric and all those things. So she had a lot of impact in my life, not only on football but personally as well, to make sure that I achieved the things that I wanted and that my parents or my family wanted from me.
Yeah. Yeah. And Vera Power leaves, goes to Houston Dash. She signs Janine, and you and Linda supposed to follow. Linda goes first, I think. I mean, on your side, you had like some paperwork and stuff. I remember you were so stressed about the paperwork, but then paperwork comes through, boom, you go to the US. You used to playing football in the Sasol League. Where in the Sasol League, you might find it's what's the team? Cape Town Roses, Santos, and then Cape Town Spurs and UWC. Only 4 teams that are strong in the league. The rest would win by 7-0, 20-0, 15-0. Now you go to the US. You get there. In the US, football is tops. It's professional. How did you adapt?
It was difficult to be honest because, like you're saying, I was comfortable in Cape Town. I knew my strengths, and in most games I could score a hat trick or even 5 goals alone. So for me, I think at that time, those things that I achieved nest my ego. Like you are a good player, not the best player. You are a good player, but you still need to work in order to achieve great things.
Mm,
And for you to set yourself as maybe a great player, go in the USA is the best. or the most successful women's soccer team ever in the history of women's football. And the fact that I went to USA, I knew that it was going to be difficult because I actually struggled to adapt for the fact that in Cape Town, whether I trained or not, the fact that I
Okay.
was Thembi Kgatlana, the
Mm.
coach would put me in the starting lineup because why? The coach knew of my abilities. The coach could rely on me and all those things. So when I went to the US, that actually challenged me on another level. Even though I had speed, even though I had skill, and there were better people than me at that time because why? They've been professional athletes for such a long time. They're used to the league. It's their daily bread, and it was a disadvantage for me because now I come from a place where women's football is not so professionalized, and I get into this territory in the US where women's football is professionalized. So I thought maybe, yeah, I would be in the starting lineup, I would do this, I would do this. And bear in mind, I never used to think that Vera signed me and I need to be in the starting lineup or anything. I knew I had to earn my respect for myself and the respect that Vera deserves as a coach because a lot of people would always say, you put her in because you are coaching her in South Africa. That will always be there. But then
Yeah.
I had to prove to myself that I had to work hard to make sure that I get into the starting lineup. And to be honest, things worked out different for me because then I was never in the starting lineup. I think I got
Yeah.
once out of the 16 caps I have for Houston. I only had one match that I started the game, and all of my 15 games I
Listen.
started from the bench. And then later as a player, those are some of the things that we don't like. Like we
Yeah.
always want to be in the starting lineup. And like I said, Vera instilled in me a different perspective of football that sometimes you just need a player that will kill a game for you.
Yeah.
You We know that Thembi has speed and everything. So why don't we use it at the last minute when people are tired, when people can't run? And then that now became my new attribute in football to play when people are tired. And it worked for me because I had speed. It gave me confidence and I could rely on myself because I knew that 75 minutes, a lot of girls are tired. It's just their legs carrying them. And if you get someone who hasn't played the 75 minutes to come in and finish the game in 15 minutes, that would be good. So I accepted myself to be a super sub. And I think it became a trend. And even the fans of Houston Dash could, you know, the fans of Houston Dash could see I was super sub because every time when it's 65 and Vera would make me to warm up, they would always say, "Hey, it's Thembi time," all the time. And I think that actually motivated me because those fans relied on me to make a difference every time I step on the field.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of way I looked at myself.
Yeah. And also, when you got to Dash, it was not the debut that you wanted. You guys lost 3-0 in your first game. It was
It was
mobility.
difficult. It was difficult because you come from South Africa, you don't get snow. And damn, my first professional game I played was in Chicago. It was -1. It was snowing the whole game. You can't focus. You still have nerves that, oh my word, am I really a professional player? Is this really happening? There's a lot of mixed emotions. And yeah, it was a difficult one. I mean, Chicago were used to their weather because it's their homebound and they had the advantage and they used it to their advantage to get the score.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And mobility is two distinctions and at A average in metric. Wow, that's so nice. That's amazing. And then we have one love child, impressive perspective on professionalism, dedication, and patience. Okay, okay, okay. And you were done with the US. Now
Hmm.
you had to change. You went to China. Two different types of football,
Hmm.
the US and China. And now you had to adapt also the culture, the language, everything about China you had to adapt. Do you feel like that was the most testing one than the US?
I don't know. Yeah, I think China for me was, I knew it was going to be challenging, first of all.
Mm,
And like I said, I don't like to be comfortable. And I think in the US, I was starting to be comfortable,
okay.
because now I looked at myself differently. I looked at myself as a super sub instead of, a whole soccer player that can play a whole 90 minutes,
Mm,
So I had a lot of doubts about myself, I was not in a good space in the US. But then I took on to sign with Beijing, because I knew then it would get me out of my comfort zone, to be able to speak Chinese or learn Chinese, to be able to, change the culture, the time zone. That's something that is completely different. So I had to, move to China to see that if I'm thrown in the deep end, what am I going to do? Am I going to survive, or am I going to say no? This is too difficult for me. I need to go back. And I think China worked pretty well for me. Yes, it was challenging. And in most times, it worked on my mentality more than anything else. And as a professional athlete, that what you want to work on, your mentality. If you're mentally strong, nothing can break you. And when it comes to mentality, I always refer to Caster Semenya because of what she went through with the Association of Athletics. It shouldn't happen to anyone, but because the mentality was strong,
mm.
she didn't let anyone put her down. She is the person that she is today. And I mean, having a right mindset could go a long way to being a professional athlete.
Yeah. And also having Linda right next to you from Tax, Houston Dash in Beijing must have helped you because you guys have been friends for a while now.
Yeah, it helped me. It's always good to have someone that understands you. And if you maybe not having a good day or good training session, they would be there to, to remind you of your goals and to help you, get a better perspective of the person that you are each and every day, including your
Yeah.
emotions, including your mindset, and all those things. And I'm very grateful that in the US, I had Linda and I had Janine, and I also had Linda in China, to make sure that sometimes when you crack, you don't crack too much if you're with someone that's going to be there to help you in all aspects.
Yeah. Miss Tati says, anyway, I like your mindset, Thembi. Please don't gain weight during this quarantine time.
I should be worried about you. In quarantine, I'm worried about people who don't train. A lot of people are saying I mustn't gain weight, but that, for me, that doesn't matter. I naturally don't gain weight, so it's something that I'm like, every single time I make sure I don't gain weight.
Yeah. Now let's talk about the year 2018, 2019. Um, I think those 2 years are the years whereby the world got to know Thembi Ngubane and what Thembi can do. You won the MVP in Cyprus, the tournament that you went to Cyprus.
Mhm.
CAF goal of the year and CAF player of the year. And that CAF player of the
2018,
year,
I think, mm-mm,
that CAF player of the
was
year award, there was this Ashish. Okay, I don't know how to pronounce that name. Ashish Wala.
uh,
Yeah,
Ashika.
and Joya from Cameroon. And those are the two
Mhm.
biggest players that we have in the continent. And you beat them, you won that award. So take us through those 2 years.
Before I could take you through those 2 years, I think the one year that triggered me to be the person that I am is, I think it's 2017. Because
Mm,
for the first time ever, I'm still in Cape Town. There's no professional football in South Africa. Women's football is not like recognized, or a lot of people don't watch women's football. And
mm,
then I get a nomination from Kev for African Player of the Year. And the thing about me is not that I don't like losing, but every time I lose, I take it to heart, because then I know that I worked hard, and not I deserve to win, but I worked hard and I know where I'm supposed to be, right? So
Yeah.
in 2017, I know that I was working hard with Sanele and everything, and not that I deserve to win the African Player of the Year. But I
Mm.
think that's the turning point of my whole career, 2017, being nominated for the CAF Award for the first time ever. And I think also the experience of being at the CAF Awards would make you to be a different person after all. You know,
Yeah.
the celebrities, there's everyone everywhere, there's media, you know, it's a spotlight for you. And I still remember when I got to my room after losing, not winning the title. I think when I went to my room, I set goals. I told myself that the only difference between me and Asisat or me and Ajara is that both of them have an advantage. They are playing in a professional league and I'm not playing in a professional league. So I asked myself, like I told you, I criticize myself a lot in order to make sure that I become a better person or a better player. So
Mm.
at that night I think I spent more time criticizing myself than, you know, feeling bad that I didn't win or letting people feel me bad that I didn't win, you know. So I sat down there, I had my notepad, I was scribbling down a lot of things, you know, crazy things. Like the only thing that makes you different between Asisat and Ajara is that they both play professional leagues, right?
Yeah.
So that's one thing. You need to get into a professional league.
Mm.
The other thing that makes them have an advantage is because of the rankings of their national teams. So you need to be consistent in the national team. And I think that's one thing for me that stood out in 2018 because once I signed with Houston Dash, I ticked one of those boxes, you know, to be able to play in professional leagues like them. So there was one other box that I didn't tick, which was to be consistent in the national team. And immediately after Houston, I came back. I played Kosafa with Banyana Banyana. You know, I felt like at that time because people knew who Thembi was and that she signed for Houston Dash, a lot of pressure was on me. But then I used that tournament to challenge myself. You know.